women are the backbone to the family, to the community. If it wasn't for us and our strength, some people wouldn't be able to move forward. So just to think and to understand that we are all in this together.
What does it mean to be united as a woman and as women, and especially women of color? To me, what it means is that we are united, we stand, divided, we fall. Throughout history, we have been separated as women of color. You know, some of us were working outside on properties, and others were working inside the house because of the different ways that they looked. You know, some were lighter, some were darker, and that made a difference then. So being united as women today, for me, is being able to relate to one another and be cohesive together at one time in all equal space. So that's pretty much it. It's not, you know, I don't have like a long drawn out explanation, but collectively, if we stay together, we're stronger.
So I think for me, being united, I think of mentoring, right? So when you get to a certain level in this work life, professional life, whatever you want to call it, nonprofit life, whatever, I think as women, mentorship is always helpful. So when I was young, I didn't really have a mentor. It didn't occur to me to get a mentor until I got older, which is super crazy. But for you younger women out there, get a mentor now. Somebody who may not always see and is not always going to tell you that things are right, but they're going to tell you when you're wrong and how to fix it. So that's the goal. So as young women in this professional life, just getting there, I know you think you know everything, because I totally thought I knew everything at like 25. You couldn't tell me much. Wrong. Didn't know a lot, had lots of opinions, didn't mean a thing. Now that I'm older, I see, yeah, I don't know who I thought I was. I wasn't all that. I could have used a mentor. So now my goal is to, as many young women as will have me give them advice, I have no problem sharing. Most people know that. But I try to give you the mistakes I made, not that you won't make some of them same mistakes, but at least I've told you, okay, this is what I did, this is how I changed it, you know, this is what I should have done. Take it for what you will. If you take the advice, great. If you don't, you learn from your mistakes like I did. But I try to make it so that you don't walk the same crooked path that I walk. If it could be a little straighter, you can learn a little bit sooner, that's always perfect for me.
Being united as women has empowered me in the sense of knowing that I'm supported by a group of women, that I can share my vulnerabilities, that we can talk about things that are uncomfortable, and know that I still will be supported. And that's why I feel that the committee, the Women of Color Committee, is so special. I've worked on a lot of committees, and the power that the women have in this committee and the vision of coming together and working as a team is just something so incredible. It's so special, and it's something that I'm just so thankful to be a part of.
So how has being united empowered me? You know, through my journey, I've been empowered by many women throughout my life and my career. And I'd say one of the biggest things would be self-awareness, self-confidence, helping to educate myself, and trusting and believing in myself.
To be intentional with my voice for me means to be effective with how I reach people and what I say. And I think that starts with listening, and listening effectively, so that I can hear what people are saying and how they feel. You kind of gauge that if you're really listening effectively, so that I can decide how I am going to respond to them, so that I can so that I can really give them what they need.
You're powerful in your own right because you have to be as a woman. We have so many hats to wear. We have to be strong in so many aspects. But it's so much better when we come together. We're so much more powerful. We have so much more strength. There is strength in numbers, and there's empowerment when you come together and uplifting. Because when someone else says, oh, gives you that encouragement, you got this, when you're in the group trying to work on something, that makes you want to work even harder at what you're working to, trying to accomplish. So being united together is so much more empowering and uplifting than trying to do something and go it alone. We go it alone all the time. We have to in this world, especially as women of color. We feel isolated and not always valued for what we bring to the table. But I think if we ever do just really, truly come together and become united, we'll be a powerful force.
Words of empowerment to some of the women who may be currently where I was would be to say, you're not alone. That we've all had to, as women of color, have had to make some extremely hard, tough decisions. And although presently it may feel like you're dying, we are in this together.
The thing that we need to address the most are our youth, because they are definitely our future. If we pay attention to them, mentor them through the things that they need to go through, because as we all know, sometimes life is not easy and they hit little bumps in the road, and we need to get them past those bumps in the road or mistakes that they make, to let them know that we're not all perfect. Everybody makes mistakes, but you can learn from your mistakes and grow. So the challenge would be for me and hopefully some of the other women on the committee to mentor our young people and get them into, because they're definitely our future. Without them, who's going to take care of us when, we're our grandparents' age? So we need them. So we have to groom them and make them into the things that not necessarily we want them to be, but all that they can be, whatever it is.
Today you're going to meet a whole bunch of different women. Don't sit in a corner and watch. I want you to be a participant of the day. So if you have 5 women at your table, find out who those 5 women are and what they do. What happens generally is we meet somebody, you say hi to somebody, you talk to them a little bit, you never think about them again until you need them for something. And that's great. Like, I just, case in point, I met a doctor a long time ago. I went to a women's open house at the LGH when they had their women's specialty clinic opening. I met a doctor, didn't think much of it, and then I needed somebody to come in and talk to my STEM Girls Leadership Academy about being a doctor, being a female doctor. And I was like, wait a minute, I know a female doctor. I'm gonna call her up. So I called her, and she was like, oh, I'd absolutely love to come speak to your girls. So not that you can sit by and be a passive onlooker and just kind of come to see what we're quote unquote doing. But no, use it as a more experience to learn something new, something different. If you're a person that usually sits onto the side and looks, get out of that realm. Meet all of these wonderful, beautiful women in this room that you know and you could use, and they love to answer your questions. People often love to tell you about what they do. They're not so good about telling you about themselves, but they'll tell you what they do. This is where I work. This is or board I'm on. This is my passion. This is what this is what I like to do every day. They'll tell you that. Now, they won't tell you, my name is Yolanda McLeod. I got 2 kids. I got a husband. And nobody care about that. But they might want to be like, oh, Rolanda, you were on the board of leadership Lancaster. How was that? I'm thinking of joining the board. What do I need to know? What does board governance look like? What am I supposed to do? Like, how am I supposed to show up in that room and in that space? That to me is valuable, because we as women of color and just African Americans in general, we don't always get asked to be on quote unquote boards. They are always looking for African American women or people of color, but rarely do we get to ask to be on boards, especially, in the area where we are currently living in. So, for somebody to come to me and be like, I heard you're on XYZ board, how do I show up in that space? What are some of the questions I need to ask? How do I move this process along? How do I become a part of this board and not just a person sitting at the table? So I love sharing that kind of information. Board governance is probably something I love to talk about, and I love to talk to it about women, so that when you're at that table, you're making room for somebody else. You're not just sitting there as yourself, but you're thinking, okay, what other person can I know that can contribute to this conversation? Because our voices are valuable, and they need our voices in some of these organizations more than most.
I think what I would like for the women to take away from this event is to know you're seen, we're hearing you. If you need something, reach out, have that vulnerability with anyone in the committee or anyone sitting next to you. Build those relationships and push through. We have an opportunity as being women of color and being united. It could be really powerful, you know what I mean? And just understanding that power and coming together and being united in one vision. We have voting that's coming up. We have to have a say in that. We have census. Our community is constantly being undercounted, and that really hurts our children. It's funding that's being missed for our school districts. And so if we really come together and focus on a mission that really can reflect our community and help our community, I think I want everyone to hear that today and, walk out of here and say, like, we are together and we're pushing an agenda forward together.